You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Levi Tesla. My guest today is Barry Sackett from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Barry is an attorney and managing partner with Gooseman Law Firm. He is known for helping business leaders find solutions and seize opportunities by fostering trust and promoting action. His practice spans development, mergers and acquisition, real estate, tax, estate planning, and in more. Barry, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Levi. Excited to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So your background's pretty unique, Barry. You've been a business owner, a CFO, in-house counsel, and now you're a managing partner. Can you kind of share how your career evolved and what led you into law here?
Yeah, well, I was kind of born into law. Both of my parents were attorneys. Both my grandfathers were attorneys. My mom was the chief judge of the Iowa Court of Appeals for 28 years. I went to the University of Iowa as a pre-law political science major and decided when I got to orientation to switch to finance and economics. So kind of have been on that yin and yang between business and law ever since. So graduated from law school, then actually ended up in Washington, D.C. for a while working on issues out there. Came back to try a wrongful death case with my father, which was kind of my first big jury trial, which was a great experience, but also kind of turned me away from being a litigator.
I could see why.
And then, took a number of positions as both in-house counsel, controller, CFO over the years. Got my MBA from the University of Minnesota, Carlson School, which was a great experience. It was an executive program, and some of my best friends and certainly influential people in my career I met there. Worked for entrepreneurs kind of my whole career, and I would say that I also have the entrepreneurial disease, is what I call it. If left untreated, it is dangerous, and so
Yes, very much so.
I hope I'm in at least partial recovery, and I try to help other people kind of handle their growth and what they want to do and how they want to see the world and how they can do that well. So it's managing a bunch of lawyers is not an easy thing, as you can imagine. They're kind of a contrarian bunch, a little bit like cats, I suppose, but in a good way. And the thing that I'm so fortunate is that I get to really do about 20 different businesses every day. I get to be involved. I mean, I just had a plumbing operation. I've got digital assets, I've got banks, I've got manufacturers, I've got farmers that I work with all the time. So my curiosity is often sated by all of the clients that I get to have. So I'm an owner with other great entrepreneurs and people that are looking at the future of the legal practice, because it is changing. It's changing, I think, dramatically in the Midwest, where we really are short on lawyers, and nobody thinks that there's not enough lawyers, but there really is not enough lawyers in the Midwest, particularly our rural communities. So excited to kind of understand that, and I've been fortunate to grow up in that world. But also, to work with folks like you that are looking at how you're changing the way development works and how investment works, and being innovative is a big part of what excites me and gets me up in the morning for sure.
That's great. Could you walk me through kind of when is it that these entrepreneurs are coming and seeking your counsel? And I'm sure it's kind of all over the place, but what would be the ideal scenario there?
Yeah, I mean, we literally work from somebody that just had a crazy idea and wants to bounce it off us to Fortune 500 companies. We're a woman-owned law firm. Gina Gooseman is our majority owner, and so that has us in the mix for some national clients that have been very good to work with over the years. But we, I love to have somebody that comes in that is asking a question of why can't we do it this way? But the thing that they need is really in the title of your podcast. I mean, they need a ton of grit. Being an entrepreneur is an incredibly difficult thing. You have to face constant kind of criticism and defeat and trying to get to where you're going to get. It's never going to be easy. And so ideally, I we get them there, and it's
That
nice if
makes
they have
sense.
a legal problem. Something that we do with our new entrepreneurial clients is we give them a legal audit, which is a 20 question kind of um, general questions that narrow down what is their problem, because it may be people if they've got a business that needs a lot of people. It may be intellectual property if they've got a new invention. It often is capital that they don't have
Yep.
enough money
Most
and they need some
people's.
money
Yep.
to do things, right? The other big thing that often comes up is what I call inventor's disease, that their idea is the most brilliant idea ever, and they can't give up even a little bit of control of it. And it's kind of like the caged bird. If you don't let it out, it's never gonna flourish. So it's our job to give them the trust that they can do that they can let somebody else help them. And we try to be, the first step in that, but they need more than us. They need bankers, they need accountants, they need insurance folks, they need investors that believe in them.
So are they leveraging you and your team to have those conversations with the bankers, or are you kind of active in that role of their business?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say that the longer I've practiced the law, the less I use the law, which really means, that what my stock and trade is creating trust in a transaction. And so the question I ask myself, and I hopefully ask it because sometimes I don't ask it in time, is my next action or words going to create trust or destroy trust? And if it's going to destroy trust, no matter whose trust it is, even if it's somebody on the opposite side of the table, it's not useful to what we're
Yep.
trying to accomplish. So having good relationships with all of those other professionals, that's really where we get our work, because they've got somebody that has a legal problem, I've got somebody that has a banking problem. And we trust each other enough with each other's clients to say, hey, I know a place you can go. And I know a lot of bankers, I know a lot of insurance agents, I know a lot of accountants. So it's not that it's an exclusive deal, but you also kind of understand what personalities are going to get together,
Yeah,
what kind of
absolutely.
trust is going to be there.
So you were kind of hitting on that the fact that you work with all walks of life, all different kind of business and everything. Is there kind of a common through line between them that you see these business owners facing, the challenge that they have?
Um, I feel like they have to continue to grow, meaning that both, their business, I mean, if their business is stagnant, they're not happy, things aren't happy, they don't do well. But also personally, because often the guy with a brilliant idea may not be the best guy to run the company.
Yeah,
The guy that can run a small company may not be the best guy to, open the next store in the next town. May not be the best guy to take on managing a plant. Um, and I said guy, but I mean anybody that is in that
anyone. Yeah,
position. Uh,
absolutely.
so I think that the people that are willing to change, and that can be flexible, I talked about that in inventor's disease, when they kind of say, well, I'm really good at this and I want to keep doing this, which, again, can be fine. Those are great people to have in your company and they are sitting in the right seat, but they don't get to move seats. And if they want to move seats, it's not going to work as well.
Yeah,
And then the other kind of the opposite side of that is kind of what I call the rubber band effect, when they have moved out of the seat that they started in, but the seat that they started in, they know how to do that work. And so they kind of, to build up their ego after they move out and get kicked in the teeth a couple of times, they want to go back and do that. And unfortunately, they hired somebody else to do the work that they used to do. And when they jump back in it, that can be an incredibly destructive force, because the people that they hired to do said, "Well, what'd you hire me to do? I'm here to do the job you hired me to do, and if you don't trust me to do it, then I don't want to work."
Why'd you hire? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are kind of some of the bad sides, and but the through line, I think, again, is grit. No successful entrepreneur that I know isn't, in a possession of a whole lot of grit.
So you've been obviously doing this for quite a while. Is there a
You can
particular
tell from all the
project?
gray hair.
That's just wisdom.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a particular project or case that stands out that was really meaningful or rewarding to you that
I
you
had
can
a
share
client
details
that,
on?
yeah, I had a client that was absolutely the great American story. Started out as in a single parent household, um, you know, started in high school, worked his way up through that industry, um, traveled the world in that industry, and then came home to take care of his family, and realized that he could still do that work and do it better, and eventually built a company that I helped him take into a private equity round that had a $60 million valuation, and then has continued to grow. um, and what he did with, that success, he does have entrepreneurship disease for sure.
A
But a lot
serial
of those
entrepreneur?
efforts are now focused into philanthropy and helping his community and helping the people around him. And just a really favorite person to work with and work for. Um, so I've got other people like that, and the people that you really, have a lot of respect for the people that get them there. I would say the ones I don't enjoy as much are the folks that feel like they got there all by themselves and that they're, running the ship. They can certainly, ego is necessary in
Yep.
in entrepreneurship. But it needs to be controlled. And if it's not, you can make great strides with a big ego, but eventually, in my experience, not a recipe for success.
Walking on those lines, how do you help your clients kind of manage the risk of pursuing and growing opportunities versus being cautious and doing it the right way?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of the secret sauce, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I talked about before, I think a lot of it is having the right relationships in the different areas, and then making sure that they trust those relationships. I've got another client right now that doesn't trust, and we can put all kinds of great people around them, but without that trust, it's always tough. So. Um, Sometimes, like raising kids, you kind of got to let them fail to see that happens.
hmm I'm sure that
You
can be
know,
tough though sometimes
again.
too, because yeah, it's gonna happen, but it's the best thing for them maybe at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to be the "I told you so," but unfortunately, as a lawyer, you've kind of got to mark down your advice so that when the "I told you so" thing happens, you kind of put a piece of paper in front of them and said, "Remember when I told you this, that
Yep.
this was going to happen?" Not that we're perfect by any stretch, and part of it is underwriting the risk and saying to them, "Well, here are the risks. These are the things that can happen." And
hmm
if you're willing to take on that risk, this is the reward that you may get, but you also may lose this deal. And so I think that's a good indicator of successful entrepreneurs. Somebody that, takes on and accepts the risk, and when they lose, they move forward and keep going. And they don't look for somebody to blame. They say, well, I understood the risk and we lost that one, so let's go take another stab at it.
Let's swing on the next one and see what lands, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
So you were kind of telling me that you see some big changes coming up potentially here soon. Is there anything specifically that you want to kind of hit on that's coming in law business?
Yeah, in New Jersey, Arizona, Utah, currently non-lawyers can own law firms. Prior to those three states allowing that in the US at least, only lawyers could own law firms. And the trend that looks like to us is that consultancies, Accenture, McKinley, all the big guys, and smaller consultants will just say, "Hey, we're sick of having to call in the lawyers to take some part of our fees. Let's just hire lawyers and have them in our organizations." And so, that means that really the relationship that you have with the business clients that you have is the value of your law firm or your consultancy. So, we're focused on representing business owners and business leaders. Not that we never represent anybody else, but that's not who our avatar is. That's not who we're
Yep.
trying to represent. And we have a fractional general counsel program, which most of the companies in the Midwest are not multinational. They're not the size that they can afford to buy or hire their own general counsel. So I'm sure you've seen fractional CFOs and fractional HR people, and really it's along those same lines that we can give a set fee every month that we will act as your fractional general counsel. And that allows you to call us whenever you need to call us. And why that's really valuable is we want you to call us, right? We don't want you to wait until you get a lawsuit that gets served upon you to call us. We want you to call us and say, "Hey, we got some problems with one of our vendors and they're awfully mad and they're threatening lawsuit."
How
That's
do we
when we
get
want
ahead
you
of
to
the
call us.
game?
Right,
Yep.
right. So, I think that's a really valuable, and the other thing that allows the businesses to do is budget for legal services, because that's the problem. Another problem with legal services, right? You have a problem, and all of a sudden, one thing went bad, and now you're kind of adding pain on it by having a big legal bill. And it allows us to know the company and know the people in it. So we can give advice way ahead of time saying, "Hey, I see that you're looking at a business expansion. These are some of the things you should think about on a legal side. You've got some people that you're going to run into in that market. They're not going to like that, and
Yep.
they may do stuff to you. So what can we do to kind of make sure we don't get in trouble with those people?" So that's where I think as we talk, and the other big thing in law is in every business and everywhere you go is AI.
Mm.
And I can't tell you how many clients and potential clients have sent me a big script from ChatGPT telling me how to do my job in the last couple of months. Um,
I can only imagine on
Oh,
that.
it's,
That's
well,
got
this is what they tell me. I said, well, that is partially true and maybe hallucinated a little bit, but that doesn't apply specifically to you and the relationship that you're talking about. So again, it comes down to understanding, the exact relationship and the trust that you're working on. So, talk to our attorneys and our associate attorneys about really having a consultative relationship with your clients to really understand what they need and what they want. Um, and ChatGPT and other AI certainly can add to our productivity.
Mhm.
But as I said earlier, we don't have enough lawyers, so we need to add to our productivity because we're they're not kicking any more out of law school. There's certainly always a need for legal services. We're not hurting for clients. We like to get better clients that we like to work with, but it's using that AI to be more productive on some of the as we call it, kind of commodity legal work, but really the gray-haired legal work, the stuff that you kind of have to have done before to know how to
Yep.
do, or what we call rocket science, the really kind of innovative legal work is where we like to kind of be most of the time, and that's where entrepreneurs are, right? They want to get through the stuff that is, the business formation and some of those things. They want to just cruise through that stuff. We should know how to do it. But then when they want to create a new product or have people pay them in a certain way that is unique and innovative, that's where, we can step in and help them do those kind of things. and ChatGPT, it's not going to help them so much. I hate to tell you.
Nope, nope. There's things it's great at, and like you just all hit on things it's great at, and things yeah, maybe you should just stay away. It's almost like your example is bringing the doctor, the WebMD, saying, I got scarlet fever with this rash or something.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. It's like, well, no, maybe you just got a new pair of underwear that don't really go well with your butt. So, I mean, that could be what's going on.
Do you have any kind of insights or maybe your thoughts on the business of law, getting more lawyers in the profession? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're in every bar association that I'm a part of, which is I'm licensed in 4 states, are looking at this problem.
Mhm.
There's not enough attorneys to, particularly rural communities, which obviously sits in a lot of our footprint. If you don't have somebody that lived in that town and maybe even has somebody who's, a parent or a grandparent that was an attorney, it's so hard to get somebody to a small town. Um, so I think the model has to change a little bit. And part of that certainly is, kind of virtual services and using AI so that you've got it. But again, it's hard to create trust when you're not sitting in a room with somebody. Um, we cover a big footprint. We have offices in Omaha, Sioux City, Sioux Falls, and Okoboji, and so we have a pretty big footprint, and so we've got a lot of clients that don't sit in those cities, but sit in between them. And I drive a lot because we're out there kind of seeing them as they go. But we're representing kind of people that can afford, and need more sophisticated legal services. So the really scary part is kind of the day-to-day legal services, the family law work, the criminal justice. I've got friends that are in those practice areas, and it's tough. So how do we fix it? I suppose, lawyers can try to improve their reputation, but that's a pretty tall hill to climb.
I don't
Um,
think TV shows are really helping you guys out there
Yeah,
that
well,
much.
suits, everybody was beautiful in suits. So everybody, I have all these people that tell me about how I should practice like suits. I'm like, well, it'd be great if that actually happened. But no, I mean, we've got good attorneys that are coming out. And we're not the only ones that have this problem. Accountants, engineers, professionals in any level in the rural communities are certainly bankers. Everybody is kind of having a similar problem. So I'm not crying in the milk of the legal services, but it does just say us, hey, there's an opportunity, right? Here's an
Yeah.
opportunity for entrepreneurial and attorneys to try other ways to deliver these services in a good way. And I hope we're doing that. I mean, that I certainly everybody in our firm has an entrepreneurial kind of gene in them, and the people that we hire is it's kind of one of the things we look for. But we can't have too many of them and that are too rampant. But we have quite a few. So I think those are the solutions that these communities are fighting with, and what can they do to entice people? Because I mean, I'm for example trying to recruit somebody to Okoboji, which seems like we got a lot of bells and whistles over there as far as the lake and everything else,
Uh-huh.
but it's still not easy.
Yeah, it's kind of again the $1 million question, and when someone can solve it, they'll be doing well.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean that's where entrepreneurs thrive, right? With the big
Yep.
problems
Find the
that need to
problem and
solve.
solve it.
Right, right, right.
Awesome, Barry. Well, for anyone who's listening who wants to connect or learn more from you, whether that be from your services or to learn more how to get into what you're doing, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, you can find us at goosemanlawfirm.com. Gooseman is two O's, two N's, no E. So it's GOOSMANN lawfirm.com. I'm sure Google will get you there if you're close. And personally, we work with Startup Sioux Falls. We're a sponsor of their GrowCo initiative, which takes startups kind of to the level after they've gotten revenue, and they're really trying to grow their business, kind of not at the beginning startup phase. We are a sponsor of the Hustle Conference, which will be going down in Omaha, October 9th and 10th, which is given in conjunction with the Creighton Business School, and will be a week-long week-long program with some other partners, and we'll be a part of that group. We're also a part of the West Coast Initiative, which is in Sioux City. We'll be doing their launch week in November. So those are all great opportunities for those entrepreneurs out there to get associated with those groups that have a lot of different services that can be valuable to them. And personally, give me a call. I'm always open to talk and work with people. I also have a podcast if you're a runner, that I do called the Pickle Podcast. There's a little route called the Pickle here in Sioux Falls that we run around and have a conversation about running. So that's another area that you can find me.
That's awesome. I'll be sure to check that one out. Is it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
all your channels, but I make it in Spotify, so it usually is easiest to find there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Barry, for joining me and sharing your insights. And we'll see everyone on the next one.
Thanks, Levi. Bye-bye.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.